inner self, the ancestry turning your inner voice. Fly the Welcome everyone, I'm your host Mariam Zohra, and this is Surrey Muse's 114th gathering and 24th virtual gathering since COVID-19. To begin, we'd like to acknowledge that Surrey Muse gatherings take place on the unceded Coast Salish territories of the Katsi, Musqueam, Kwantlen, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh First Nations. Some notes for tonight's show. The just-released presenter, Francie Luan, could not make it, and also the subtitles for this show could not be done because of health reasons. So we apologize for that there won't be any subtitles for tonight's show, and we appreciate your understanding. And now I'd like to introduce to you tonight's lineup. Featured author Rachel Thompson, featured poet McKillop, and featured dancer Celeste Snowber. Our open mic opener will be Jovian Radheshwar, and to end the night, we have an exclusive video by Myrcury with music by Maat. Thank you for joining us. Rachel Thompson is an author, poet, and a mentor who has self-published 7 works of nonfiction, including a series on the themes of child sexual abuse and women's empowerment titled Broken Pieces, Broken Places, and Broken People. Her writings have won various distinctions and awards, including first place in the 2017 Chanticleer Journey Awards for Narrative Nonfiction, 2014 Kindle Award Nonfiction Finalist, 2013 Global eBook Award Women's Studies Nonfiction Gold Medal winner, 2013 eFestival Awards Best Nonfiction General winner, and 2013 Orangeberry Hall of Fame Best Nonfiction winner. Rachel has founded an author branding and marketing consultancy service at Bad Redhead Media, where she shares her knowledge and experience of writing, publishing, and marketing. In her advocacy projects, she creates opportunities to connect with the survivors of childhood sexual abuse by providing safe spaces to discuss and relate personal stories. Rachel has created Sex Abuse Chat on Twitter every Tuesday 10 a.m. PST time, and a secret Facebook group for adult survivors of childhood sexual abuse, and she is humbled to share many of her fellow author stories on her blog. Visit Rachel's website at rachelintheoc.com. Welcome, Rachel Thompson, our featured author tonight.
Hi, everybody. I'm Rachel Thompson, and I am the author of 7 books. I'm going to speak with you today about my top 5 sellers and what they're about, and a little bit about marketing and branding and stuff like that. If you're on Twitter, you'll find me here at Rachel in the OC. It's called In the OC because I lived in the OC, which is Orange County, California, for about 17 years. And when I started my Twitter account, I got verified fairly quickly a few years later. Quickly in Twitter media world. And so I'm stuck with the name. I can't change the name. I no longer live in Orange County. I'm up in Northern California now. But Twitter is the main place that I connect with people as an author. So I wanted to show you a little bit about the branding and my books. As you can see here, I'm a childhood sexual abuse, AKA CSA survivor. And for years, probably 8 or 9 years, I've done a weekly chat, which is where you have a hashtag. It's called Sex Abuse Chat. And it was once a week on Tuesdays at 6:00 at night Pacific time. That changed this past fall when I got heavily involved in social audio, which is called Twitter Spaces. You may have heard of Clubhouse. That's also very, very popular. So now I still do sex abuse chat, but it's on Twitter Spaces. So if you don't know what Twitter Spaces are, you can head over to my business, which is called Bad Redhead Media. And you can see that right here. I'll click on that. And here is where I basically talk about anything social media related, branding, book promotion, that kind of thing. And on this account, also verified, I do a weekly book marketing chat, and anybody's welcome to come. You just join from your mobile, the Twitter mobile app. And if you want to speak, you can speak. If you don't want to speak, it's fine. You come in as default as a listener. So these are my 2 accounts. Let's go back to Rachel, and I'll go into some of the specifics of my broken books. So you can see the first one is Broken Pieces. The second one, Broken Places, both award-winning, and Broken People, which I just released last September. And basically all 3 books are about me being a survivor, how that affected me, how I came to research and have therapy and understand a lot of what was going on with me. Because as a kid, I was 11 when it happened. You have absolutely no idea what's going on, and all these words that people are saying you're unfamiliar with. So it took me a while to be able to speak about this publicly, but so far it's been fairly warm and welcoming. And I just figure I may as well use my platform here as well as on other places to hopefully make people more aware that 1 in 3 girls and 1 in 6 boys will be sexually abused before the age of 18. And 90% of the time, it's someone they know. So a parent or sibling, for me, it was a next door neighbor dad, coaches, teachers. We just have to be so careful about what happens to our children. So that's really why I talk about it. So if you are a survivor or know one, you're more than welcome to come to my weekly sex abuse chat on Twitter Spaces. And you can see here over on Amazon, that's probably the best place to get my books. So here's Broken Pieces, all of 99 cents, Broken Places, $3.69, and Broken People, more expensive because it's newer, $7.99. I'm also the self-publisher of 2 marketing books for authors. My most popular by far is this one, the 30-Day Book Marketing Challenge. I will go ahead and click on that. I'm currently updating it. So the last time I updated it was 2020. It's a monumental effort to update all the links and add all of the changes that have occurred in social media as well as book promotion, getting reviews, all that author platform stuff is what we call it. You can find in my book. And I give you assignments every single day to walk you through Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, book marketing, getting reviews, blogging, all the things that form our author platform are in this one book. I do recommend the Kindle edition because then you can click right on the links, as opposed to the paperback edition. You'd have to actually write them all out, and there's a greater chance that you may get something wrong and then the link doesn't work. But I honestly sell more of the paperback version than I do the ebook version. I find that very interesting. It is what's called a great on Kindle pick. So out of the millions of books on Amazon, they have a few hundred that are considered great on Kindle picks. And so that is, I was chosen by them. It wasn't like something I went after, but I won some awards and things, and it's gotten very good results. And you can see here, it's still like number 7 in, I don't know why, new newspaper and magazines writing reference, but hey, whatever works, man. So if we go back to my other books here, let's click on that. My other book for authors is 99 cents. Not in it for the money. I'm just trying to help people learn what I didn't know and how to make our lives easier that way. So this one is called How to Best Optimize Blog Posts for SEO, 25 Tested Tips Writers Need to Know. So when I first started blogging, probably 15 years ago, I was on Blogger. I didn't know which platform to use. I ended up moving over to WordPress, self-hosted, meaning they host it on there. And there's about 25 different steps that I do for myself when I do blog posts and for my clients. And if you don't do those things, when Google or other search engines scrape your site, they won't be able to pick up all the things that you might want to be known for, AKA for, let's say this book, I would want to make sure that I'm known for social media, for blogging, for SEO, specifically for writers. So by putting out these little books, you get more recognition, I guess, and visibility. The more you write, the more people are interested in your work. And also it's very practical, helpful information. So if you don't know what like metadata or keywords or tags or how to optimize your headline, I'll give you a little tip right now for that. Those are all the things that you'll find in this little book. So when I create blog posts for myself or for my clients, I'll go over here to this one site called, oops, let's see if I can click on it. Here we go. Called the CoSchedule Headline Analyzer. So you can see, like, here's one that I just did. Do productivity hacks work? Yes, here are my top 10. And it gives me a score in the green. So your score has to be 70 or above in order to get in the green. So they're looking at not only the words you use as well as your SEO score, but they're also looking at what are the words common, uncommon, emotional, powerful. This is how it's going to show up in Google. And I always laugh at the reading grade level. Your headline reads at or below a 7th grade reading level. So that's good, I guess, right? And then it gives you a lot more information here. So if you want to go to CoSchedule and create your own free account, you can. You do not have to have a paid account to use this tool. They also have a tool for your, a tool for your email, the newsletter headlines that people are more apt to open if that's something that you choose you want to do. So that's a little tip for you right there. Let's go back to one of the things that I am very excited about using is this called Genius, Genius. So what you want to do is create your own Genius account. I do have an affiliate link, but you can just start your own. I think it's $2 a month for like 100 links or something. But what I like about these is they are universal links. So let's say I share this link, this Genius 30-day marketing challenge book link. You can see I've gotten 39,000 clicks on it since 2018. And so what I like about this is I can tell exactly where, if I share this on Twitter, I can create a link just for Twitter. And then I can see how many of those clicks are coming from Twitter. So it's a good way, or Facebook, or wherever it comes from. But the great thing about this is, let's say that I share this and somebody from the UK wants to purchase my book. So if they click on this, are they going to end up, here, let me go back to this one. Are they going to end up with the Amazon in their country? Yes. So that's what's really nice about this as an option. And then you can also add all the other places your book is available as well. And so I really enjoy using Genius for those reasons, because Amazon doesn't give us any data. So we don't know where clicks came from, how effective our marketing is, or advertising. Unless you're advertising on Amazon itself, this is a really good way to track your analytics. And I can show you really quickly what that looks like. Let me get back over to Genius. Let's just do Genius. Genius. Oops. Genius. There we go. So obviously I'm going to log in. And in order to do this, excuse me, you do want to set up an affiliate account with Amazon, and then you put in that link. So they walk you through everything. It's very helpful. But this, you can see, I can look at a specific book, or I can look at overall all of my books. And this is telling me right here, the clicks, the majority of clicks come from, or go to, sorry, Broken People, which is 792. And this is just, I think, for the last 30 days. There we go, for all retailers. So it's telling me right here, t.co is Twitter. None, usually just is, and there's a huge amount of clicks. I think it's just the, I can't think of the word. It's the contribution of all the different platforms, right? So Facebook, Instagram, newsletters, my website, all those kinds of things. And then it will give you other. So that information isn't all that helpful, right? But you can at least see which are getting the most clicks and create some marketing from there. And then you can also look at the date. Did something happen on this specific date that I got 163 clicks? I don't know. I'd have to go back and look on that. I could have been running a promotion or something, who knows? So anyway, lots of information here on Genius. A few other recommendations that I make for people who may not be aware that they need to do this is to create your author page. And to do this, you log into Amazon Author Central, and that's where you go ahead and you add in, you claim a book if it's already published. If it's not published yet and it's on pre-order, you can claim it. But people can't leave reviews, not until it's actually available for sale. So a few things that are kind of fun to look at is you'll be able to add in a picture of yourself, site and other information, your bio, and that will show up on every single one of these books. You can tailor it to each specific book as well, which is really nice. And then you can kind of get a bird's eye view. They say this technically isn't the truth, but I've worked with so many authors who say it is. This is my best-selling book. Then we'll go to the next one over. Then we'll go to the next one over, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so you kind of get a glimpse without having to go into your reports, how many, not clicks, but how many books you've sold. And then they also look at how many pages read if it's on Kindle. So make sure that you do go ahead and fill out that information. And also, make it easy for people to find you. One thing that I see a lot of, let's go ahead and click here on my website. This is my Rachel in the OC website, is I will go to a website and see no links up here, no icons to help people connect us in different ways. And then they may have it there, but they don't have it on the blog. So make sure that you also have it on your blog, which is very helpful. I have a lot of guests. If you are a survivor and you want to be a guest on my blog, then feel free to get in touch. You can always go through my websites. If you look here, there's a contact form and you can click on that and we can connect. And if you want more information or want to work with me, I am at badredheadmedia@gmail.com, and you can always go to that website too. So it's just easy to type that in, badredheadmedia.com. And I'm going to show you what that looks like. And that gives you the information about those two books, what I'm doing, what my services are, how to contact me, all that kind of stuff. So let's try and connect. Again, I do Twitter Spaces. I do 3 a week, and they're always at 11 o'clock Pacific time. So please join me. All you have to do is either follow me and click on my avatar from your mobile phone at that time, or you can scroll through on the mobile app. There's a little mic icon, a microphone icon, and you can click on that and find whatever is happening at that moment. So I wanted to thank you all for your attention. If you have anything specific you want to ask me, my DMs are open. I am primarily on Twitter. That's where I spend most of my time and where I connect with writers and readers and people. I mean, that's who we are. So if you would like to, you can also sign up to be what Twitter now calls a super follow. And it's only visible on mobile. So even if, as I showed you my bio here, you can't see that I am what's called a super follow unless you're on mobile. And what that means is you pay, it's sort of like a Substack or a Patreon. You pay like $5 a month and I send you exclusive information. So I do have a super follow on both of my verified accounts. And I'm working on a book on branding for authors. And so I have the first little sort of overview of that can help you get started on that path. So please sign up for either my newsletter or my super follow. I'm happy to connect with you. And like I said, my DMs are open, everybody. So take care. Thank you, Surrey Muse, and we'll talk soon. Bye.
Our featured poet tonight is Carl McKillop, teacher and traveler, as well as poet. His full name translates as Narrow's crooked nose son of lover of horses. He recently graduated from UBC's Creative Writing MFA program with a thesis in poetry, and his work has appeared in a variety of places, including CV2, English Practice, and the Sustenance Anthology of BC Food Writing from Anvil Press. He is also the president of the Surrey English Teachers Association. Visit Carl's website at carlmckillop.wordpress.com. Welcome, Carl McKillop, our featured poet tonight.
Hi, I'm Kyle McKillop. Thank you for having me at Surrey Muse. I'm joining you today from my classroom here in Surrey. I want to acknowledge that I'm on the traditional and unceded territories of the Katzie, Kwantlen, the Semiahmoo, the Kikite, Stolo, Chemainus, Tsawwassen, and the Wasanich First Nations, who have been here since time immemorial. I hope that this country can begin to go below the surface of reconciliation to consider what is really needed to make amends for the great suffering that was inflicted on these nations by my ancestors and perhaps yours. One step we've taken at our school, for example, is to have all graduating students take English First Peoples 12. I believe that learning from each other or from great literature creates deep understandings and empathy, and allows us to treat others with dignity and to listen to them with whole open hearts. Let's open with a concussion poem. Invalid Response. This headache is a life-size dinosaur play park, fronted by dueling Stegosaurus and T-Rex. Small children race across the headache to pet spikes, to pose beneath scaly haze. Voices jumble. A father in jorts shouts for everyone to squeeze closer to the headache for posterity, while a woman wipes a wild face clean of mustard and screams for another to climb down off a smaller, sorer kid. Greasy hands spill yellow popcorn from a miniature train, trudging its brontosaurus engine across a headache, and velcroed shoes leap from safety grating to ground, a brief freedom from the tyranny of lineups. In the lot, a poodle barks in a car under a tree, the sun shadowing fingers of headache across the asphalt. Family groups break away now and then to explore the rest of the headache, the triceratops nest, the raptor enclosure, the pterodactyls, how their wings spread, silhouettes rammed into sky by the steel shafts sunk into the headache. In the men's room, someone has left a topic of discussion for the teenager who mops the headache. And at the snack bar, cotton candy, headaches, holy teeth. So where am I? Follow the sign for the Pachycephalosaurus. Yonder, in a meadow encircled by magnolias. I crouch there, teeth bared, forehead tilted, forever glaring at something beyond my frame of reference. The weight of this skull, this headache, the blue sky and its white puffs, they change shade, the first hint of sunset, of sleep. The next poem is a pandemic poem, written to go with a photograph by Maggie McPherson. A Year Without Mothers. When I dial, no one answers. Garbage bag clouds scuttle over the mountains. I wash dishes until they wrinkle. In the garden, the rats set off peanut-buttered traps and dance to copper beats. The world moves, my fingers on a number pad. Tone, ring, the despair of repetition. There are rhythms to our lives I never noticed. The garlic comes up, the lettuce leaves. The squash folds under a fungus. The hidden streaks of sun, the voice on the phone. I try to keep it positive, talk about tomorrow, though all I know of tomorrow is that morning's chickadee will catcall me as I stumble to the toaster. My consistency is part of our ruin, a monument to some other time and place. My mother-in-law used to ask after me, ask for the prince, ask if I'd been fed, her daughter's eyes rolling. We have never before needed to buy a headstone, never needed to find words for this emptiness. Out front, a yellow rose undresses itself, petal by petal, each little splash of light falling, to air, to thorn, to soil, the roots below reveling in bone meal. When there's nothing left, I hang up. I cut my hair recently, but here's a poem about long hair and being a man. On manhood. My hair is finally long enough to twist into a ponytail. I'm dealing with my masculinity by being myself. It's all I've ever asked of anyone except Scott, because he's my brother, and sometimes he used to forget he was driving. Here's another sign of the masculine. I say she was wearing sandals instead of espadrilles. That won't do. It's not just that I should be precise, but that I should be humanizing her with a name. Kissy, my wife, was wearing a kind of shoe with woven sides, and she called them espadrilles, and as Kissy stepped away from me, I saw the late afternoon sunlight tangle in her hair, and my heart swelled up like a cork in a bottle. Not good. I should show emotion to the person I love and trust most. When I see her, sometimes my knees could crumple with affection, and other times I don't feel anything at all. I let myself be distracted by the skein of my own thoughts. I remember the first time a carload of girls catcalled me, in my forest green sweater, walking along the harbor wall to a nightclub. Did that make me a man? It made me warm inside. I knew so little, spilling myself, lifting boxes to a top shelf, smelling like an oily rag. The cliches seem incidental to the experience. Being a man is being my brother, arms stretched across the truck cab, searching the glove box for the MP3 player I could have easily reached, more concerned with the song than the median. Being a man is watching an action movie and feeling tears muddle your cheeks because the citizens of the city must relive their trauma again and again for our pleasure. It's cutting the mint low for winter. It's wrapping the window-smashed sparrow in a towel and sitting with it as it dies. Being a man is calling yourself a man. There is no action, but the claim. I trust you take this label upon yourself because you feel it, because I wouldn't choose it lightly, because the deliberation deserves precision. I say this with love. I keep letting him drive. The next two poems are from a project I'm working on in which I'm writing around unpaired words, words that seem to have an opposite but don't. Like we say nonchalant, but we'd never say chalant. Hevelled. Love is tidy as a garden, as keen as ear hair, as safe as the ground beneath your feet. Love is a rock wall, an electric wire that point fort and rain. Love is the haircut you're growing out, or the present beneath the tree, December or January. Love is sweeter than Pompelo, softer than mud, warmer than sunburn. Love lows in its field far off, and you recalibrate, wondering how much farther you need to go. Love is the last blueberries on the bush, a gifted dictionary, a cactus. What the heck do I do with this, you ask, just before realizing it is its own answer. Fenestrate. Lately, all of my windows look out onto myself. Any view will sell in this market. Experience is an accumulation of bitterness, and the only cure is to flush it with kisses. You know, Kissy wants to carve a hole in her bathroom wall for light so that she or a monstera could grow there instead of mold. In the crawl space is a gouge, the width of a thumb, straight through the concrete into the clay. The house settled for us. When we married, there were no games. You danced or you didn't. I guess we never stopped, even as some guests have orbited to the far reaches of this gravitation. Once I looked in their eyes and saw love, or at least sweetness, that prelude to fermentation. Now we drink rum or punch a creme in peeling colored glasses. More than the drink, what makes us feel like adults is the ice. Sometimes I think of when I fell off the stepladder on the back deck. The legs slipped down a stair and I twisted and hovered like a bookcase thrown from a window. How lovely to rewind it, to lift my head from the boards and plie, then leap into the vertical. If I could, I would fenestrate too all the hopes of my parents, toss them straight back up to the sill, a forgiving rustle of feathers. Me and the hopes could squat there together, sun on the horizon, comparing all the ways we've let, or been let, go. Bird, for Yonina Curtin and Gary Ward. Bird, in the street, in his black cap, playing his saxophone solo in the dark. 2 notes. Hee-hee, hee-hee, hee-hee. And he won't let go of these 2 notes. Hee-hee. suburban shrub dweller, two-tone Charlie Chickadee, shaking everything out of the twin sounds so the dreamers will hear them frolic, hear them complement each other, hear one dive into the next the same and of course different, nipping at the leader and follower, the song that chases the sun, the song that he slips into our rooms, the song that turns the cobalt world gray-green. He plays the dawn, two notes, into being. Digressions from a name. 1. From the Gaelic. I swim in narrows, a space between 2 points of land. Not an empty space, a space filled by water and me and creatures. There is a forest on the far shore. I am filled with the forest of me and the forest within me. The narrows teems with treetops and me, but only I break the surface. Saltwater eyes, lichen heartbeat. Summer. I answer to a bird call. Sound a thing flanked by the physical and the other. 2. Cartilage. I bumped the plywood wall in the tiny abandoned observation tower overlooking a hostile country, and the yellow jacket emerged, then another. Down the ladder hole, I threw myself, jinking off rungs. The explosion of yellow in the canopy, of galaxies behind my eyes. This is my secret name, the one with a jolt. 3. Son of Greg, Desmond, Cecil, unknown. Which of them am I when I carry grocery bags for my wife? When I sing? When strangers throw trash at me from a pickup? Our lives brush the grain of the image. Each father presses a dagger-like finger into the small of his child's back. 4. Baloney boat. Shawnigan, July. 5 of us in an inflatable dinghy. Cheesies and Coke. And then the water. Scott pulling the boat with scissor kicks. Jenny stroking circles. The center of the calm lake and the fish below. I thrash my legs in the depths to ward off imagined beasts. I stretch for the gunwale, stretch between my mother's womb and my father's hands. 5. Cut is the past tense for cute. The nose, I imagined, was too big. The hair, the exact length for elderly woman to call me young lady. The absent abs and pecs. Glasses, stomachache, the literal inability to see red. The most upright part of me, my heart. A piano banging out standards of the playground. Bones broken by sticks and stones. All those years I spent convincing myself that I could be loved. 6. Lover of horses. I haven't ridden since I was maybe 12. Just not my city-bound thing. Not even motorcycles. Remember Scott's mini bike? How I careered across the school ground into a sandpit, spraining both wrists? The nearest I'll come is a scooter in Da Nang. Hands tight on the rear grip, leaning forward to sing into Bia's ear, her little engine crying beneath us for all the years and miles that separate family. 7. A snipped thread clinging to the cloth from which I was cut. The salmon flex in the Liffey as I ride to my temp job past Temple Bar, pausing to greet Oscar in the park. I change in the bathroom, adjusting my tie. In the office, I file so quickly that I run out of work and take to drinking tea to pass the time. In the evening, the staff front me a pint. When I get home to our tiny flat, my sister has gone to her night job. There isn't even a TV to help me pretend I'm not alone. 8. Nook. My fingers displace gravel, toes wet in a creek under a canopy of cedars. The water murks with silt, bubbles its streamy song. The other boy rearranges other stones to twist summer's cool. A pool here, miniature rapids there. a little eddy in which to spin bark boats, moss stalks fumbling for shards of light. We are 6 years old, and my idea of perfection is already set. The crooked nose slopes of this ravine, the calm of vireos, the damp scent of freedom. 8. 9. It's actually 9. Love up. Let's finish with how I pulled into a parking spot today outside the hair salon and from the car looked into the shop and could see only you. And oh my gosh, years of hair were gone. And you were delighted with yourself and posing for photographs against the damask wallpaper, spotlight on your face, everything in your joy saying, I am not your gosh. I am your holy your son of a gun. Your damn I love the way you. Every year on my birthday, I write a poem. And since it was my birthday last weekend, I thought I'd share this one from 2020. This will be my last poem for today. It's a Surrey poem set in Surrey Bend Regional Park. Birthday poem 2020, The River. I went to the river and it was motoring. Little tumbles and crests on the brown surface. I went to the river and I did not put my feet in because it's April and anyway the shore was muddy, and though my shoes were old, I did not want to risk dirtying or losing them. I was on the shore with Kissy, who also would not risk it, and I decided that none of this was metaphor for a life, even if today is my birthday and I was looking for meaning. I mean, the other walkers kept their distance because of the virus, and the eagles kept their distance because I can't be trusted, but it meant nothing else. The sun was bright, and we wound along the trail under larch and fir. We stumbled down to the channels. We watched a tiny bird spring into the sky and plummet back to us, screaming in a language I could only feel. The grasses rustled against each other, and 2 mallards came into land, gray and tan, and a huge worm contracted and extended its way across the dampness. On the far shore clung a dock, a classic red barn, an old mill. In the water, dozens of logs waited for the blade. The brown river motoring, its engine in first, demanding I put my feet in. But I already had. I married her. I chose some of the currents that carry me. I was walking beside her, and the sun was out, and she took my picture because she thought I was beautiful. We didn't need metaphor, even if it was there. I turned off the engine and pocketed the key. The river still ran. It always does. I was running on something else. Pink flowers on a sparse bush. I ran after her as she slipped between the trees. And she waited, her eyes a body of water I would throw myself into again and again and again.
Our featured dancer tonight, it's Celeste Snowber, who is not only a dancer, but she is also a writer, poet, and award-winning educator. She has performed and spoken internationally for concert venues, galleries, museums, conferences, and in various outdoor spaces. The essence of her performative work is site-specific performance and complete one-woman shows that integrate comedy, contemporary dance, and improvisation, and how one lives a juicy life amidst complexities and wonder. Celeste creates performances of dance and poetry in the natural world and can often be found dancing between the land and sea. She is the author of Embodied Inquiry, Writing, Living, and Being Through the Body. And she has published 3 collections of poetry, where the latest it titled The Marrow of Longing explores her relationship to her American identity. Celeste is a professor in the Faculty of Education at Simon Fraser University. Visit Celeste's website at celestesnowber.com. Welcome, Celeste Snowber, our featured dancer tonight.
Hello, I'm Celeste Snowber, and I am delighted to be part of Surrey Muse. I acknowledge the Cookite First Nation as well as all Coast Salish peoples on whose traditional and unceded territories I live and create. I come to you as an interdisciplinary artist and performer, and my dancer and poet is inextricably connected. I will be sharing with you recent performances over the last few months and poetry that will be on videos, as well as some of my site-specific performance and reading poetry in between. The first few poems come from a collaborative project with other visual artists and poets called Hopscotch and has been exhibited in several galleries in Boston this past fall and will be again showing this summer. Here are a few poems from this series before I share the videos of the dance. Hopscotch in a star. Go between the lines, over, across, beyond spaces, redefine and transgress what you thought possible. Throw beyond boundaries. How many constellations can be drawn on pavement within your dreams? Draw hopscotch in a star. Count the spaces outside the parameters. Extend the edges of play, a living game of wonder. Improvise the rules. A new path may arrive. Dance toward the infinite. The next poem is called Jump into Desire. Create the conditions for the wild to grow, spill, leap off the sidewalk of your own becoming. Look what is revealed outside the contours. An ontology of gravity and levity. The body sketches through the air. Cultivate beginnings. Jump into your desire. The next several poems are from my recent collection of poetry, The Marrow of Longing, which explores my Armenian identity and themes of intergenerational trauma, the land, healing, and the beauty of food and culture. I will be sharing 2 video poems that are also in the book, Vowels of the Body and Earth Traces. The first poem is called The Story of One. If we only have fragments, aren't all our pieces a whole? What happens to one happens to all. So much has gone missing. Strands of DNA whisper a mystery. The story of one is the survival of a nation. The next poem is called Pockets, Peanuts, and Raisins. Food was a constant subject in my home growing up. Don't forget the starving Armenians, my mother said in a Boston accent. All the R's dropped, starving Armenians with all the emotion, gutturals in her throat, shaking through her body. Pockets, peanuts, and raisins in her dress, first grade little Gracie, sent off to school in Porter Square, near Harvard Square in Cambridge, red-headed girl being loaded up with peanuts and raisins. In her left and right pockets, she told me the tale repeatedly. The teacher chastises her for not bringing some for the whole class. She returns home, her mother worried her daughter might be hungry. Years later, I got it, reading the horrifying accounts of millions of Armenians marched out to the Syrian desert to starve. Those who survived and escaped had hunger as a constant companion. The peanuts and raisins of survival, food in the pocket at one's fingertips. P&R was always scattered through my home. Small bowls everywhere before the onset of allergies. Today, I carry sunflower seeds, almonds, and dried cranberries everywhere I go. The next poem is called Butt Cheek, and no, actually, it's not. The next poem is called Fig Sunday. Oh, fig, with your longest history on earth, your unisex flowers, I need more of you. I grew up on dried figs. Now I want you raw, right off the tree, so I can place you on everything from salads to salmon. Your hues change from golden to brown to resplendent purple, your hollow flesh, complex inflorescence. This is what I crave on a Sunday morning. The next poem is called Bachik and Geragor. I remember 2 words, Bachik, to kiss, Geragor, food or meal. My mother reminds me of these partners in the everyday, kissing the food, food as kiss. She left me with what was necessary. The next poem is called Yanoi, I am listening. Notes haunt me, knowing deeper than bone, from matter to matter. My mother's matrilineal line, where melodies alone make sense to yearning. I forget reasons, maps, logic, or time. I recognize myself in a cappella. Return home to atonal chords, conjugate a love song where I listen. The next 2 poems would be video poems. Vowels of the Body and Earth Traces. Vowels of the Body. I am more of the earth than I understand. Floods of water, ashes of fire, seasons enter my flesh, internal ties, external rhythms, rain, mist, flames, ice,
hormones, the language of moon, syllables of the tides navigate my body, feel the voice of wind. Through sinews, light in tissues, arc my backbone to being. I am more of this earth than I understand. Earth traces. Geography holds its own story, hidden in scents of mud and sky, flatbread and tears. Ripen, eat the earth's song. Hear its loud lament.
The next poem is called Fluid Body, and it connects to climate change. And I performed this recently, and I'll share the performance of you through the video speaking and dancing the poem.
Fluid body, you see are our roots, sustenance of home, beginning and end, you carry us. Together, we grieve through salt, changing nature of coral reefs, multiplicities of species in danger. Hawksbill turtle, stellar sea lion, blue humpback whale, only 4 of 2,270 species who are endangered or threatened. Precious web of life, soul needs you as plankton live within your fluid body. You see our boat, our tears, your water, our tears.
The last series of poems and dances were done at a performance on April 2nd at the University of British Columbia Botanical Garden, and they're called In Conversation of Magnolias. And I am showing you a video of this for under 5 minutes of me dancing and reciting the poems and sometimes their body stories. And it is an honor to share with you. May you all keep blooming.
Stewardia, sinensis, you come from a mountain in a far-off province in China. Your cambium on the edge, your bark, our skin, the largest organ in our body. You peel off cinnamon hues. You are a hymn to the glorious. Why is it that we don't see our own ruffed skin with such beauty? Magenta is all over me, washing a crimson fuchsia, Deep pink ablaze through notes of red, fragrance comes when your tissues split. Your goblets spill into rain, midway between red and blue, dark raspberry speaks. I've been dreaming of you throughout 4 seasons, and years actually now since COVID. Even though you are not found in the visible spectrum of light, you are off the charts of outrageous. Pendulous at tips, upright and broadly rounded. Magnolia sargentea, known as Blood Moon. Even an opera was named for you. But you, Blood Moon, are an opera unto yourself. Talk about sensuous knowledge. Magnolias are all about sensuous knowledge. Of blooming. And how can we be compassionate with our own stages of blooming? Whether it's colored or fray leaves, it is all part of the compounds of our life. So I'm always fascinated by your fungus, your particularities, your imperfections. They look so beautiful to me. And my question is, why don't our imperfections look so beautiful? I've worked hard for my wrinkles. I deserve them. So I want you to all celebrate your quirks, your imperfections, nature's way of saying you are still alive. And this poem is called Bloom Lessons. Long after your petals have stopped opening, they unfold in my chest. I awake thinking I am on a bed of grandiflora magnolia temples. I lie in between and wake in the warmth of your scent. I am painted burgundy and alizarin crimson. My flesh rips as easy as Camellia magnolia cobus. You have been the inspiration of poets and composers for centuries. Even Sylvia Plath, dark magnolias of your womb, she said. I am in love with your colors, amaranth, purple, ruby, red, dark magenta. You who are great survivors are my chosen goddess of blossoms. You are famous for your off years. Andy, the curator of the Asian Garden, tells me. I have had many off years. But you teach me to remember to bloom. You teach us to remember to bloom.
Our open mic begins with Jovian Radheshwar, who is a hip-hop musician, poet, and educator. In 2012, he and Bobby Musgrave created Endangered Species, a hip-hop collective based in Santa Barbara, California. Along with Ed Keenan of Los Angeles, Endangered Species has performed at various locations including LA, Santa Barbara, Vancouver, and Surrey. Their album, No Hooks, explores themes of technological change, existential philosophy, race, America, empire, drugs, sex, heartbreak, and destruction. Jovian grew up in the 1990s in New York City and then moved to California. His artistic influences include Pink Floyd, Modest Mouse, Outkast, Nas, Atmosphere, Hieroglyphics Crew, Wu-Tang Clan, and great American literature from the likes of Hunter S. Thompson. His PhD is in existential freedom and features novel interpretations of Nietzsche, Heidegger, from Berlin, and Fanon. Jovian was born in Bombay. Mumbai is for fascists, he says, after teaching political science and Black studies in California for over 10 years. He followed his love up north to Vancouver. He now lives in New Westminster, where he is a professor of political science at Douglas College. Please welcome our open mic opener tonight, Jovian Radheshwar.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for letting me share some poems with you all tonight. My name is Jovian. I've been writing poems for a number of years. Many of you know me as a professor and as a co-host of the Surrey Muse, and also sometimes as a rapper. I haven't written a rap song in a long time, but I have been writing poems since I was much, much younger. And I've done some digging and some searching, and I managed to find my very first poem. And I also managed to find some other old short poems that I wrote over the years when I was living in California for a number of years. So my first poem was the very first poem I ever wrote. And this poem was written my freshman year of university when I was 18 years old. This poem was inspired by a fight that I had with a number of my friends, many of whom are still my friends. But it was one of the first times I ever confronted whiteness in my life, and I didn't really quite understand it. It seemed unreasonable to me. And I was sitting and I was thinking about the exigencies of society outside of the lunch hall of the university I attended in Southern California. And it was night, and I was having a cigarette or two, and I was just, really deeply in touch with my feelings, maybe for the first time in my life, coming from a background where the arts are not really celebrated. So this was what I came up with that night. And this poem is called Inertia, circa 1997. A rambling man rides the vast expanses, bringing with him the light of day, the darkness of night. The man's ride is so expected to transpire, to manifest. But the vagrants are all dead, buried in the basement, their movements frozen in a sliver of being for all to see, for none to fathom. The fascist freak show continues unabated. The G-forces build, the radiation multiplies, the vagrants remain cold, trapped, the world remains on fire, combusting. Then the inertia adapts, encourages, and remains. The configuration is radical. The effect is inertia, an all-consuming inertia. You don't think, you don't exist. Thank you. Again, that one's called Inertia. All right. The next poem I'd like to share was written in Stony Brook, in Long Island, New York State, after my parents moved from New York City to Long Island when I was a senior in high school. I later returned for a year during my undergraduate years to spend a year in Long Island. And when I was there, I made some really, really close friends. Rest in peace, Tony. And rest in peace, Sean, who I'm about to read a poem about. Sean was a member of our crew. We used to kick it all the time. And this was among the first arts communities that I ever really got to know when I was younger. Sean was a poet, he was a painter, and he was also a guitarist, in addition to being a football player and being the dude that all the girls that I liked and that all the other dudes liked, they all wanted to sleep with Sean. So, and he was a super nice dude. So, it's all good. Like, I was always just like, man, I'm just honored to be your friend, dude. He had a tough life, Sean did, and he passed away too early. This poem is called Sean, the King of Smithtown. This guy is my hero. He drinks so much and still stands up until that one day that he fell down. He was just walking around town. His feet were not on the ground. He never had a frown. He always owned this town. One day his guitar felt quiet. He wanted all of us to see that he would go with the caretaker with the same pride and glee. He wanted to know. He wanted to see below. He knew other layers were there. He didn't really care how he'd get there. Death was his foe, and they did battle before. And Shehan won, and we all knew the score. He lost his balance and he slipped from the tightrope. He plummeted to the earth, and he said not to worry. His town now misses him, remembers him. Kings are not forgotten quite so easily. R.I.P. Sean Kenninger. Thanks for being a part of my life, brother. Old poems, you guys. This was 1990. This was probably about 2003, actually, is when he passed away. I knew him back in the late 90s, early 2000s. This next poem, a nice, short, quick poem. I've been through a lot of depression and ups and downs in my life. And, when you're in this phase, you're looking for answers and some dumb shit like that. Forgive me if you're in the stage of looking for answers. I love you and I don't think you're dumb. Please, I beseech your forgiveness. But for me, that shit doesn't work. And one time, one of those sleepless nights, I sleep like a baby every night, even when I'm worried these days. I'm often working a lot, but I always sleep through the night like a baby. And it's because I learned this thing. You can learn it from many places. For me, it hit me like a realization after staying up all night one day in my early 20s. This poem is called Like a Rock. This morning, I haven't slept. I'm really tired, but I'm also really fired up. Truth hit me in the night, at first like a pebble here and there, nicking me somewhere. But after a few hours of hail, it hit me like a rock. Freedom is a system shock, carrying on for all time. Can you dig it? Thank you. That one's called Like a Rock. During this same era, I was, often wandering, looking for my way. I listened to a lot of Pink Floyd when I was high. And I also learned about the music of Junoon, a famous Pakistani rock band. And I happen to also be Sindhi, and I consider myself Pakistani and Indian and American. And I'm always looking for a universal artistic expression, not because it is universal, but because the connection that's possible through the open heart is universal. And I've reached that point through art in many times in my life. This poem is called Tribute to an Anonymous Progressive Rock Song. Fantastic song. Annihilate my eardrums. Destroy my doldrums. Solve the day's conundrums. Electric guitar. A quiet and classical sitar. Take me as far as the universe's furthest star. Epic tune. Take me to the moon. I'll not return soon. I'm lost in the dunes. Thank you. That's called a tribute to an anonymous progressive rock song. All right. I've got 2 more poems for you all today. Thank you so much for letting me share these old school joints with you guys tonight. It brings joy to my heart in this crazy world to bring that little old piece of me to y'all tonight. Thank you. This next poem is called Postmodern Chip on My Shoulder. And if you're an artist and you're looking for that escape, you're looking for that freedom, you're looking for that beautiful technological maneuver that's going to communicate love and freedom to the masses. You know, if you're a political artist, maybe this is a hack you're trying to hack. Obviously, it doesn't work unless you're some sort of Machiavellian, because in all honesty, the words go through you. At least they go through me. Maybe that's because I'm not a professional poet. So these are all devoid of calculation. So this one again, Postmodern Chip on My Shoulder. And here's the poem itself and not my rambling anymore. All right, here's the poem in 3, 2, poem. There ain't no such thing as beat anymore. It's all been co-opted into a new system. Fountains of pain and anguish are all just postmodern chips on my shoulder. It ain't nothing more than my problem. Psychology's fatigue of explanationism has set in real fast, relative to the time and place from which it was born out of, into our world to live amongst us humans, in a relationship illusory in its contradictory harmony, teaching us but leaving us to our own wretched devices, doing a fond farewell to all the ancient niceties, including my personal favorite, chivalry. All gone because of the tenacity of that damned postmodern chip on my shoulder. It won't go away. It's like a skin graft that was sewn in quite well, so well you can't tell, nor can any other obvious onlooker tell what's going on inside my brain, draining off fluid to one side, bombarded by tiny informatio mites on the other. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Got one more for y'all tonight. And this last joint here is one of my favorite poems I've ever written. It was written one day when I was chilling at my friend Liam's house in Los Angeles, California, during a phase in my life when I didn't know my direction. I was not working. I was taking time off from school. I sold a lot of possessions, and I drove across the United States a couple of times when it was way cheaper to do that, when gas was like $1.10 a gallon. Remember those days? Remember those days, fellow old people and young people who are younger, who don't remember those days? So this one is called Calle del Dios. And it's about just a day I enjoyed in Los Angeles many years ago. When I walked down Pico Boulevard, I didn't know I was on Calle del Dios. I thought my way was my way and not somebody else's. But alas, I was wrong. I thought to myself as I walked down Calle del Dios, all this time I didn't know, but now I do. You see, all possible after walking down Calle del Dios, adorned tastefully, reflecting the sophistication of its caretakers. Calle del Dios is truly beautiful, like so many other things in the world that surrounds Calle del Dios. Thank you so much, Surrey Muse. I love you all. Much love to the programmers, much love to the audience, much love to our community. One love.
lost it, lost it. What you say? If I can hear what you say. Trouble, the air, yeah. I can't wait to hear what you say. But I swore I said that did. Should I live again? Should I live again?